The day before I left to study abroad, my childhood sweetheart laid down the law. No dating, no fighting, and absolutely no skipping class. Then, she slipped me a note, telling me to open it only when I missed her. It read, "When you come back, we'll get married." But during my years abroad, I became bound to a system. The system informed me that my fiancée was keeping a boy who looked just like me by her side. According to the script, by the time I returned, she would be so hopelessly in love with him that even our friends and family would side with him, blaming me. I would become the one who never should have come back. So I decided to delay my return. I held art exhibitions across Europe, befriending masters and charming seasoned veterans of the art world until they were eagerly promoting my work. In less than 5 months, I had branded myself as the art world's new rising star. Invitations and commissions from major players poured in, and my net worth skyrocketed. The system was getting antsy. Shouldn't you be heading back to the States? According to the original timeline, the host is supposed to discover the new male lead by now. I glanced at the time and asked the system, "Are the two of them officially together yet?" After it said no, I frowned. If I don't go back, can't they move the plot along themselves? I've given them plenty of opportunity. Chloe Miller frowned as she read the media coverage about me, then knocked on the door to Amelia Hamilton's office. She handed Amelia her tablet, which was displaying a news article about my dazzling success in Europe. "Didn't Ethan say he was coming back soon?" Chloe asked. "Why is he suddenly building a career over there? Do you think he found out about you and Leo Vance and decided not to return?" Staring at my picture and hearing Leo's name, Amelia felt a flash of guilt. She set the tablet down. "Impossible. Not unless one of you betrayed me." Chloe playfully punched her shoulder. "Betray you? You're the one doing something this messed up, and we've all been covering for you. How can you accuse us? Have you forgotten that Ethan is my friend too?" "Amelia, don't you see the problem here? You've barely contacted him these last few months. He used to call and complain to you about everything over there, but lately, nothing. What exactly is going on with you and Leo? If Ethan finds out, he's never coming back, is he?" Panic seized Amelia at those words. Of course she wanted me to come back. She immediately sent me an iMessage asking when I'd be home, completely forgetting it was the middle of the night for me. Seeing Amelia's flustered state, Chloe grew exasperated. "You'd better deal with Leo before Ethan gets back. Otherwise, how are you going to handle this mess?" "I know what I'm doing." "You know what you're doing? What happens when they meet? Who are you going to choose then?" Chloe rolled her eyes. "If he finds out, I'd like to see how you explain yourself." Chloe, Amelia, and I were all friends from college, having met around the same time. Chloe had witnessed our entire relationship unfold and was a close friend to us both. After graduation, she and Amelia started a company together that became quite successful, deepening their already strong bond. But ever since I went abroad, Chloe felt Amelia had started acting strangely, especially when it came to sponsoring a male college student, something Chloe just couldn't comprehend. Amelia even introduced the guy to her, leaving Chloe feeling sorry for both me and the young man, Leo. Once my career was well established and I had sufficiently burnished my reputation, I announced in an interview that I was finally returning to the United States. The system observed my demeanor and commented that it was like a hawk announcing to the chickens, "I'm coming for you." As soon as Chloe saw the news, she went to find Leo. "What are you doing here?" Leo asked. He was working at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. His mother's hospital bills were astronomical, and even though Amelia had helped him, Leo hated being indebted to anyone, so he worked multiple part-time jobs to try and pay her back. Chloe ordered a coffee. The shop was quiet at this hour, so she started to talk with him. "Leo, you need to leave Amelia." Leo froze, his head bowed and the rims of his eyes turning red. "I know this is wrong, but I don't have a choice. I need the money." Chloe quickly interjected, "I can help you. I'll give you the money. If that makes you uncomfortable, think of it as a loan you can pay back later. I promise your mother will continue to get the best care." Leo clutched his apron. "No, Chloe. I know you're a good person, but I can't take your money." Chloe was getting frustrated, not understanding his refusal. "But you can take Amelia's money?" Leo lifted his head, his expression one of pure humiliation as he glared at her. Chloe sighed. "I didn't mean it like that, but you have to understand, Amelia has a fiancé. They're deeply in love. What does that make you? Stuck in the middle?" Leo bit his lip, his face turning pale. I know I'm in the wrong, but I can't. I can't leave her. I told you I can help you, Leo. Anything Amelia has done for you, I can do too. But this way, you wouldn't have to be a kept man. Isn't that better?" Leo kept his head down, twisting the fabric of his apron in his hands. He knew he should be happy about Chloe's offer, but the thought of leaving Amelia was unbearable. After watching him for a moment, Chloe suddenly asked, "You haven't fallen for Amelia, have you?" Leo immediately shook his head. No, of course not. How could I fall for her? I haven't. I really haven't. Chloe said nothing. Leo quickly grabbed her hand. Chloe, I know you mean well, but I already owe Amelia so much. I can't be indebted to you too. I know she just sees me as a stand-in. I won't get any ideas, I promise. Looking at the pitiful young man before her, Chloe felt a pang of sympathy, but she gently pulled her hand away. Ethan's coming back. Leo, you need to think carefully about what you're going to do. Leo stood frozen in place. Of course, he knew who Ethan was. He was the name Amelia cried out when she was drunk, the untouchable part of her world. He was the man whose return meant she would leave Leo in a heartbeat. He was Amelia's fiancé. Amelia, of course, saw my interview and knew I was coming back, and Chloe's warning echoed in her mind. She arranged to meet Leo at the condo she had gotten for him. Leo had cooked dinner and was waiting eagerly for Amelia to arrive. But when she did, she handed him a contract and told him their arrangement was over. I'll give you the money we agreed upon, and you can keep the condo, she said coolly. But I don't want you to ever appear before me again. Our relationship is over. I'll handle things with the hospital, so you don't need to worry. Leo clutched the contract, his eyes welling with tears. He asked, his voice thick with resentment, why? Amelia answered without a moment's hesitation. He's coming back. Leo felt his heart shatter. After 2 years, she was casting him aside without a second thought. Was he really nothing more than a stand-in? Seeing his silence, Amelia frowned, growing impatient and ready to leave. Leo quickly grabbed her sleeve, looking up at her with pleading eyes. Can you grant me one last request? Amelia didn't answer, but she didn't pull away either. Leo's voice was barely a whisper, choked with emotion. I want to celebrate your birthday with you, just one last time. Can I? Amelia considered it. Her birthday was next week, and I wasn't due back until the following month. It didn't seem like it would cause any problems, so she agreed. Leo was overjoyed and threw himself into planning the party. He booked a private karaoke lounge, decorated it himself, and invited all of Amelia's friends. He promised himself that after this one last birthday, he would disappear completely, taking his mother back to their hometown where Amelia would never find him. The party was crowded with Amelia's friends, so she naturally put on a happy face. Leo sat beside her, playing the part of the gracious host, and she didn't seem to notice anything amiss. Chloe, however, watched from the side with a grim expression. As Amelia leaned in to blow out the candles, the crowd started to get rowdy. Kiss her. Yeah, give her a kiss. Leo's face flushed, and he shyly lowered his head. Amelia was bored by the whole display. She had brought him here, but they had never so much as held hands. There was no way she was going to kiss him. A few of the guys egged them on. Go on, Amelia. Don't be shy. Yeah, what are you waiting for? Amelia glanced down at Leo beside her. In his white suit, with his face flushed red, she suddenly found him rather adorable. Her heart fluttered. Leo looked up, his eyes meeting Amelia's, and a spark of intimacy suddenly flared between them. Just at that moment, the door to the lounge swung open, and I walked in, wearing an identical suit. Well, am I late? The music had been turned down for the candles, so my voice cut through the silence. Everyone turned to stare. The intimate atmosphere instantly evaporated, replaced by a thick, awkward tension as all eyes darted between me and Leo, eager to see the drama unfold. The difference between the original and the stand-in was stark. Leo was the picture of innocent charm, while I exuded an air of composed, sophisticated elegance. As everyone took in the spectacle, they silently criticized Amelia's taste. Placed side by side, we looked nothing alike. I glanced first at Amelia, taking in her appearance. She was more mature than I remembered. Then my eyes fell on the male lead, and I couldn't help but smile. Another delicate flower type. He might have resembled my old self, but I had since infused the original host's body with my own presence, and years of experience abroad had polished him into someone far more elegant and composed. Now the resemblance was gone. When no one spoke, I raised an eyebrow. What, no welcome for me? Before I could finish my sentence, I was pulled into an embrace. Looking over her shoulder, I saw that Amelia's spot was now empty. The only person meeting my gaze was Leo, his face a mask of heartbreak. Amelia clung to me as if she wanted to absorb me into her very being, overwhelmed by how much she had missed me. The onlookers grew even more uncomfortable. A few men huddled together, whispering and shooting looks of contempt and mockery at Leo. His face went white as a sheet, and he stumbled backward, nearly falling before Chloe caught him. We didn't come here for a public display of affection, someone joked. Yeah, Amelia, if you're going to be all over him, take it home. Exactly, her friends teased. Amelia finally let go of me, her eyes shining with excitement and love as she looked at my face. Taking their jokes to heart, she actually grabbed my hand and started to lead me away. Are you really leaving? Don't go. We just got here. Besides, we want to catch up with Ethan too. It's been forever. Yeah, you can't have him all to yourself. With that, they swarmed forward, playfully pulling me away from Amelia to greet me one by one. I smiled, answering their questions, until I was eventually nudged in front of Chloe. I smiled at her and opened my arms. Chloe. Chloe stared as I came closer, her mind momentarily blank. I raised an eyebrow, feigning disappointment. What? No hug for your old friend? Hearing the familiar nickname, a smile broke across Chloe's face. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me, inhaling a faint floral scent from my clothes. I hugged her back tightly, burying my face in the crook of her neck and whispering, I really missed you. Chloe froze. She glanced around nervously, but everyone was just smiling at our reunion. No one seemed to have noticed. She started to wonder if she had imagined it. Seeing that we weren't letting go, Amelia frowned and walked over. She pulled me out of Chloe's embrace and into her own. That's enough catching up, she said possessively. Feeling the sudden emptiness in her arms, Chloe flexed her fingers, a sense of loss washing over her. Wow, look who's jealous, someone teased. Amelia, jealousy doesn't look good on you. Amelia shot them a glare but said nothing, simply tightening her grip on me with an air of pure ownership. I smiled through their teasing, but my gaze was fixed on the male lead, who looked like he was on the verge of tears. I don't believe I've met this friend before, I said, turning to the group and waiting for an introduction. The cheerful atmosphere instantly froze. Most people looked away awkwardly, but a few of the guys watched me with knowing, amused smirks. I turned to Amelia, my expression a perfect picture of innocence and trust. When her eyes met mine, they filled with guilt and anxiety. She glanced over at Chloe, who had protectively pulled Leo into an embrace, her own expression strained. He's my boyfriend. My eyes widened in mock surprise. Chloe, you're dating someone? Chloe let go of Leo and lightly tapped my forehead. What are you talking about? I smiled and extended a hand to Leo. Hi, I'm Ethan Wright, Amelia's fiancé. Leo stared at my smooth, fair hand, then self-consciously extended his own, which was rough with calluses. Leo Vance. I gave his hand a firm shake, my eyes casually sweeping over him. No need to be so formal. We're all friends here. Chloe and I go way back to college. It's been almost 8 years now. Chloe chimed in from the side. Almost 9. You've been gone so long you've lost track. I grinned. Why do you sound so resentful? You were all supportive when I left. The playful, almost wheedling tone of my voice made Chloe's heart skip a beat, and she remembered what I had whispered to her earlier. I turned back to Leo. I see you like white suits too. We must have similar tastes. We should hang out sometime, maybe hit up a gaming lounge. Seeing my completely guileless act, several of our friends had to look away, afraid they would burst out laughing and expose the whole charade. Amelia, clearly uncomfortable with me talking to Leo, quickly pulled me down to sit beside her. Where's my birthday present? She whispered. I turned to her with a playful smile. I came back early just for you. Isn't that present enough? Amelia's face broke into a genuine smile. It counts. The others sat down as well, but seeing Amelia and me acting so affectionately, then glancing at the miserable-looking Leo, they couldn't help but frown. I excused myself to go to the restroom. The moment I was gone, Amelia turned to the silent Leo. You should go home. Leo thought his heart couldn't break any further, but Amelia's words sent a fresh wave of pain through him. You promised, he said, his voice full of hurt. Amelia remained silent. Right now, nothing was more important than Ethan. Leo read the answer in her silence and sneered. So when he's around, nothing else matters? Is that it? Her silence was all the confirmation he needed. Tears streamed down Leo's face, and a few of the nearby friends started to intervene. Leo, just go home for now. You don't want Ethan to see you like this. Leo's face was ashen. He had considered these people his friends. They were Amelia's friends, and he had always treated them with genuine kindness, remembering their birthdays and getting them gifts. Yet, the moment Ethan returned, they were all telling him to leave. I'm not leaving, Leo said, gritting his teeth. You promised you'd let me spend this birthday with you. Amelia frowned. I don't need you to celebrate my birthday with me. But I was the one with you for the last 2 years. Leo cried, his voice breaking. All I want is to celebrate one last birthday with you. Is that too much to ask? You promised me. One of the guys finally snapped. Give it a rest, man. Don't make this so pathetic. The real deal is back. Who needs a stand-in? Another chimed in, sneering at Leo. Take a look at yourself. You're not even in the same league as the original. Did you really think you were going to be some Cinderella story? He told you to leave, but you're still clinging. It's just sad. Leo looked at Amelia, his eyes pleading for her to defend him. But while she frowned at the comments, she said nothing. Leo's heart shattered into a million pieces. Chloe couldn't stand listening to the increasingly cruel remarks any longer. "That's enough," she said sharply, then turned to Leo. "Let me take you home." Leo stubbornly refused. He walked over to Amelia and grabbed her hand. "Amelia, I don't want to go." "Stop making a scene," another friend hissed. "Just let Chloe take you home. If Ethan finds out, you're dressed exactly like him today. What if he realizes you're his stand-in?" Just then, I pushed the door open. "What stand-in?" The room fell silent once more. The moment Amelia saw me, she violently slapped Leo's hand away from hers. The physical sting was nothing compared to the pain in his heart. His face was ghostly pale as he stared at her, his eyes filled with utter devastation. The sound drew my attention, and I saw the tail end of Leo holding Amelia's hand. My brow furrowed as my gaze flickered between the two of them. "Aren't you supposed to be Chloe's boyfriend?" My question plunged the room into an even deeper silence, with only the soft background music playing on. Amelia quickly stood and started towards me, but I held up a hand. "Stop!" She froze, her expression a complex mixture of emotions. I gave her a cold look, then turned to Chloe. "One of you is going to explain this. What substitute? Who is my stand-in?" Kira, the friend who had mentioned the stand-in, ducked her head, desperately hoping no one would remember it was her who had spoken. I looked at Amelia. Silence. I turned to Chloe. She just pressed her lips together, saying nothing. I let out a cold laugh and scanned the group until my eyes landed on Kira. "Kira, you tell me, who is the stand-in for whom?" Kira flinched at being called out. "It's not what you think, Ethan. We were just talking about some celebrity gossip." "Gossip? Yeah, that's right, just gossip. Don't get the wrong idea." I scoffed. "Do you take me for an idiot? Does this look like the reaction to celebrity gossip?" The group fell silent again. I turned my attention to Leo. "Why don't you tell us, Mr. Vance? Whose boyfriend are you?" Leo felt his face burn, as if his dignity were being ground into the dirt. "No wonder something felt off the moment I walked in," I said, my eyes finding Chloe's across the room. "Chloe, is he really your boyfriend?" Chloe looked at my glistening eyes and, after a long pause, slowly shook her head. My gaze snapped back to Amelia. "Then he's yours." Amelia rushed to deny it. "No, you're my only boyfriend, Ethan." I raised my hand and slapped her across the face. Leo gasped, covering his mouth as he stared at Amelia with concern. The slap silenced the entire room. I looked at her, my voice dripping with disappointment. "You can explain this whole damn mess to your parents and to mine. I can't believe how blind I was." With that, I turned and stormed out. Kira jumped to her feet, ran over to Amelia, and gave her a shove. "Well, go after him." That snapped Amelia out of her stupor, and she ran out after me. When Amelia caught up to me, the excuses came pouring out. "There's nothing between us, I swear. I've never even held his hand. Please, Ethan, don't do this. Forgive me, please." It was a moment of weakness. I was just so confused. "I just missed you so much." I couldn't help myself. I clapped my hands over my ears. "I don't want to hear it." Amelia fell silent. I appeared perfectly calm. I never allow myself to look pathetic, so even in that moment, I maintained my composure. "Amelia, we both need to calm down. I don't know if you're telling the truth or not, and frankly, I don't trust you anymore. I need some time. We shouldn't see each other for a while." A chill ran down Amelia's spine. "Are you leaving me?" My voice cracked with emotion. "What else am I supposed to do? I came back, so excited to celebrate your birthday, and I find this? You found someone else. Amelia, you're the one who betrayed me." Amelia rushed forward and grabbed me. "I didn't. I never did anything to betray you. Please just forgive me this one time. I'm begging you." I struggled against her hold for a moment, then went limp in her arms. "Fine," I said, my voice flat. "We'll take some time to cool off. I'll sort through my feelings. You sort out your complicated relationships. We'll talk again when that's done." Amelia immediately agreed. "I'll end it with him. Once he's gone, we can talk. Just promise you'll give me one more chance." I considered it but said nothing. After dropping Leo off, Chloe returned to her own apartment. The entire way, the image of my devastated face played over and over in her mind, making her heart ache. She knew she should have stopped Amelia from the very beginning. Just as she reached her front door, Chloe saw a figure huddled on the steps. The slender silhouette was trembling slightly in the cold night air. She blinked, hardly daring to believe her eyes, but the figure remained. I looked up and saw Chloe frozen in place. I tried to stand, but my legs were numb from sitting so long. I stumbled, losing my balance and starting to fall down the steps. Chloe lunged forward and caught me, immediately shrugging off her coat and wrapping it around my shoulders. I leaned against her weakly, my voice a small, mournful whisper. What took you so long? In that instant, Chloe was consumed by regret. She never should have taken Leo home. Feeling how cold my arms were, her guilt intensified. She held me tighter, murmuring apologies as she helped me inside her apartment. I'm giving you a key, so next time you can just let yourself in. Why didn't you call me? I would have come right back, Chloe murmured as she settled me on the sofa, fetching a blanket from her room to wrap around me before rushing to the kitchen to put on a kettle. I sat on the couch, staring down at my hands, looking utterly dejected. As Chloe waited for the water to boil, she watched me, her eyes filled with compassion. The system, observing the scene, was confused. Host, Chloe is just a supporting character. Why have you come to her? My head was still bowed, the tip of my nose and the rims of my eyes red from the cold. Hearing the system, a small smirk touched my lips. You said I didn't have to worry about plot deviations, right? Well, she has to pay a price. There are consequences for betraying a friend. I'm going to make her regret it. In the original story, Chloe was a mutual friend to both me and Amelia. But when she saw Amelia cheating, she didn't stop her, nor did she warn me. She even blamed me for coming back because it made Leo sad. How could I let someone blame me for their own failures? No, I'm going to take the moral high ground and make sure the blame falls where it belongs. Chloe handed me a warm mug, wanting to say something but not knowing where to begin. For some reason, she found herself reluctant to even mention Amelia's name. I took a sip of the hot tea, the warmth spreading through me. I looked up and my eyes met Chloe's. She seemed to fall into my gaze, staring at me, transfixed, as she carefully knelt before me. When did you find out? I asked softly. Chloe snapped back to reality, unable to meet my eyes. She turned her head away, avoiding my stare. Her hesitation told me everything. You knew from the beginning, I stated, my voice flat. Chloe looked at me, her eyes swimming with guilt and compassion. A bitter smile twisted my lips. So you knew all along. You didn't tell me. You helped her lie to me. Chloe's lips tightened. I'm sorry. I looked down at the floor. Chloe, are we still friends? Of course we are, she said quickly. We've always been friends. I looked up at her, my disappointment unconcealed. So in all the messages I sent you over the past 2 years, did it ever once cross your mind to tell me the truth? Chloe lowered her head. She had thought about it, but she was afraid of hurting me. She vividly remembered the light in my eyes when I'd left, so full of hope about chasing my dreams. She was terrified that this news would make me give it all up. She couldn't bear the thought of me having regrets, so she kept silent. I have my answer. I set down the mug, gently pushed her aside, and stood up to leave. Chloe quickly grabbed my arm. Where are you going? I turned back to face her. Are you even the same Chloe I used to know? Seeing a tear trace a path down my cheek, Chloe sighed and pulled me into a hug. I'm so sorry. Please don't be sad. This is all my fault. I should have stopped her. I should have told you from the very beginning. Maybe I had been holding it together for too long, or maybe her comfort was the final straw, but being held like that, I finally broke. The sobs came out, raw and full of hurt. What did I do wrong? I cried into her shoulder. Why would you both do this to me? Hearing my choked sobs, Chloe felt a stabbing pain in her chest, sharp and relentless. They had truly hurt me. She had no answer for my question, so she just held me tighter. The system watched me sob my heart out in the supporting female lead's arms, utterly flabbergasted. It grew nervous when it saw me pass out from exhaustion and get carried to the bedroom. But then it watched as Chloe gently wiped the tears from my face, tucked me in as if I were something precious, and then tiptoed out of the room. When Chloe woke up the next morning, I was already gone. She found breakfast waiting on the table, and a warmth spread through her chest. She ate the now cool meal, sent me a quick iMessage, and then left for work. After leaving Chloe's place, I went back to my parents' house. We had a series of visits with family friends and elders, which included, of course, Amelia's parents, the Hamiltons. Ethan, you've grown into such a handsome young man, one of the older women cooed. More than handsome, he's a true talent now. Mr. Wright, you and your wife are set for a comfortable future. I stood by my father's side, a polite smile fixed on my face. When the compliments came, I would just offer a modest smile. Mrs. Davis, you flatter me. It's mostly just media hype. It really is better to have a son. Look at Ethan, so attentive to his parents. Not like my wild daughter, who knows where she runs off to. Exactly. Sons are so much more thoughtful. It's true. My girl would never think to accompany me to something like this. I should have had a son. Well, not all sons are a blessing. Have you seen the Anderson boy? He dresses like he's in a street gang. I think Mrs. Anderson is about to have a stroke. Still, at the end of the day, The right family is truly blessed. I remained by my parents' side, playing the part of the perfect, doting son, well-mannered and poised, earning praise from all the elders. Every time someone complimented me, Amelia's parents would beam with pride. They should be getting married soon, Mr. Hamilton would say. The only reason for the delay was Ethan's studies abroad. Mr. Hamilton, who had initially been displeased with my decision to go abroad, was now bursting with pride over my accomplishments. He spoke of his future son-in-law with immense satisfaction. Whenever anyone praised me, he would mention that the wedding was just around the corner. He played the part of the proud father-in-law to perfection. I made sure to speak with Mr. and Mrs. Hamilton privately, mentioning that I had brought back gifts for them from Europe and would deliver them on my next visit. Mrs. Hamilton was clearly pleased with my manners and deferred to her husband. Mr. Hamilton was equally delighted, holding my hand and speaking warmly until he was reluctantly pulled away by another guest. As the gathering was winding down, I finally spotted the person I'd been waiting for, Bianca Sterling. She was Amelia's aunt, the much younger, late-in-life daughter of the head of the powerful Sterling family. At 29, she was only 4 years older than Amelia. This was an event for an older crowd, mostly parents and their close friends. Bianca and I were the only ones there from our generation. I found her on a second-floor terrace, lounging on a wicker chair with a book covering her face. She must have sensed me, because she shifted the book and saw a man in a white shirt standing before her, his eyes fixed on her chest. Bianca frowned, shifting the book down to cover herself more completely. Annoyed, she opened her mouth to tell me to leave, but then her eyes caught the clear outline of abs beneath my thin shirt. She swallowed hard, her fingertips tracing the cover of the book. I leaned down slightly, a charming smile on my face. You like this author too? I've been to half a dozen bookstores in Manhattan trying to find this copy. Could I possibly borrow it when you're done? Bianca sat up, handing me the book without a moment's hesitation. Of course. I beamed, reaching out with both hands to accept it. As I took the book, our fingers brushed. When Bianca pulled her hand back, she instinctively brought her fingers to her nose, inhaling the faint, sweet scent of roses that now clung to them. I took a seat opposite her, cradling the book. I flipped through a few pages before closing it and looking up to meet her gaze. I'm Ethan Wright, by the way, and you are. Bianca raised an eyebrow, wondering, was he being deliberately coy, or was this really the Ethan Wright? Bianca Sterling. My eyes lit up, and I pulled out my phone. We should exchange numbers. When I'm done with the book, I'd like to take you to dinner to thank you, Miss Sterling. Bianca's eyes lingered on me. As I had sat down, my jacket had shifted, revealing a sliver of toned abdomen that made her pulse quicken. She leaned forward slightly, concealing her interest as she took out her phone and we exchanged numbers. Once I had her number, I leaned back contentedly in my chair and opened the book, a small smile playing on my lips as if I were completely engrossed. Bianca didn't leave. She remained seated across from me, her gaze occasionally drifting to that tantalizing glimpse of skin, though I seemed completely oblivious. We sat in comfortable silence, one of us reading, the other admiring the view. I didn't move until my father came to get me. As I was leaving the terrace, I turned back, holding up the book. Dinner, when I'm done. Long after I had disappeared from view, Bianca rubbed the back of her hand, trying to quell the lingering tingle. After the party, I went home and dutifully read the book. Only after I'd finished the last page did I open my email. Inside was the file from the private investigator I'd hired, all about Leo Vance. Leo's mother had leukemia. With no suitable donor for a bone marrow transplant, she was undergoing continuous chemotherapy, and the astronomical costs were, of course, being covered by Amelia. I looked over the file, noting Leo's address and daily schedule. Seeing that he was working at the coffee shop today, I decided to pay him a visit. Welcome to the daily grind. What can I get for you? When Leo looked up, the welcoming smile on his face froze. He recognized me from the party. I looked him up and down. At the party, he'd been wearing clothes Amelia had bought him. Today, he was in his own. He shifted uncomfortably under my scrutiny. After a moment, I chose a table by the window. I'll have a latte. Leo snapped out of his daze. Right away. One moment. As he prepared the coffee, Leo kept stealing glances at me. He had to admit, I was elegant and handsome in a way that he wasn't. But then he thought of Amelia, and his face paled. Leo placed the latte on my table. Here you go, enjoy. As he turned to walk away, I stopped him. Wait. Leo's body tensed, but he turned back. Is there anything else I can get for you? I slowly stirred my coffee with a small spoon. I have a question for you. When you became Amelia's lover, were you aware that she had a fiancé? Leo froze, the color draining from his face. When his mother was diagnosed with leukemia, his world had collapsed. It was Amelia who had held him up, arranging for the best hospital, finding top specialists, and covering the exorbitant medical fees. Leo had thought she was his savior, but just as he was overwhelmed with gratitude, she had presented him with an agreement. It stipulated that he had to dress according to another man's style, adopt his tastes, and essentially become his stand-in. His world had collapsed all over again, but he couldn't refuse. He couldn't say no to Amelia. She was his mother's benefactor, and the woman he had started to fall for. So he decided to be selfish. For as long as the other man was away, he would be the one by her side. But somewhere along the way, they had both crossed a line. Amelia grew kinder, introducing him to her friends, and he, in turn, became more and more attached to her. If I hadn't shown up, Leo might have actually started to believe he was the one she truly wanted. Seeing the look on his face, I understood everything. So, I said with a sneer, "You knew Amelia had a fiancé, and you still agreed to be her kept man?" Leo's face turned ashen, the rims of his eyes red with humiliation, as if his pride had been crushed under my heel. I didn't let up. "And were you also aware that our engagement wasn't some arranged marriage? That we were together because we were genuinely, deeply in love?" Leo gripped his apron tighter. He remembered the night Amelia had shown up at his door, drunk, murmuring my name over and over. He frowned at the memory. Leo's coworker, Kevin, had just finished with a customer and was about to speak to Leo when he saw him standing there, pale as a ghost. He frowned, and as he started to walk over, he heard me mention Amelia's name. Seeing my expensive clothes, Kevin assumed I was some rich admirer of Amelia's, there to cause trouble for her real boyfriend, and he quickly dialed her number. Amelia was with Chloe when she got the call. Seeing the look on her face, Chloe asked what was wrong. Amelia frowned. "It's Kevin. He says someone is giving Leo a hard time at the coffee shop." Chloe's expression soured. "You still haven't ended things with him?" Amelia looked just as displeased. She had meant to end it for good the other day, but then his mother's condition had taken a turn for the worse. She'd ended up staying with him through the night, and the words had gone unsaid. Reading the expression on Amelia's face, Chloe's own face darkened. "You're not actually going over there, are you?" Amelia's expression was grim. "I'm worried it might be his cousin." His cousin? Chloe had met the guy once. He was a total lowlife who would rough Leo up for money. "I'm coming with you." The coffee shop wasn't far from Amelia's office, and they arrived in 10 minutes. Leo and I were still locked in our confrontation. "Mr. Vance, what will it take for you to leave my fiancé alone?" Leo's expression was rigid. He twisted his apron in his hands for a long moment before finally managing to speak. "I'm sorry, Save it. Just tell me how much money you want. I'll pay it." Leo looked utterly humiliated, biting his lip and refusing to say a word. Kevin, seeing that Leo was on the verge of tears, quickly walked over. "Sir," he said with a forced smile, "is there anything else I can help you with?" I ignored him, my eyes still fixed on Leo. "Mr. Vance, you're only with Amelia for her money. I can give you money. All I ask is that you leave her." Leo hung his head, tears welling in his eyes. Kevin's temper flared at my words. He hated seeing people use money to throw their weight around. "Hey, what kind of talk is that?" he snapped. "You think money can buy love? Our Leo isn't with Ms. Hamilton for her money, okay? They're in love. Who do you think you are, telling her actual boyfriend to leave?" Leo tugged on Kevin's sleeve, trying to silence him. I sneered. "Her actual boyfriend? Is that what you've been telling people?" Kevin couldn't stand my mocking tone and stepped in front of Leo. "Hey, who the hell are you? Don't think you're hot stuff just because you have a little cash. You think we're scared of you?" His voice was loud, drawing the attention of the other customers in the shop. I was unfazed. "Who am I? Hasn't Mr. Vance here told you? I'm the fiancé of your Miss Hamilton." Kevin was about to fire back a retort when my words registered. He froze. Fiancé? He knew Leo and Amelia had been together for a while. How could she have a fiancé? Kevin slowly turned to look at Leo and saw him standing there, pale and silent, not even trying to deny it. A cold dread washed over Kevin. I pressed on. "Not for money? As I understand it, you're still in college, Mr. Vance. Your mother's medical bills must be in the hundreds of thousands by now. Are you going to tell me Amelia didn't pay for all of that? I'm just curious. In what capacity, exactly, have you been accepting her money?" The other customers were now staring openly, completely engrossed. A fiancé confronting the other man. It was better than television. When Amelia and Chloe walked in, all they saw was Leo, head bowed, with tears streaming down his face. Kevin was blocking their view of me so Amelia didn't see me. Enraged by the scene, she rushed forward and pulled Leo protectively to her side. "Who did this to you?" Kevin turned at the sound of her voice, and as he moved, Amelia's gaze fell past him and locked directly with mine. Amelia froze. A second later, she reacted, violently shoving Leo away from her. He stumbled back into a table, staring at her in disbelief. I gave a bitter laugh. So this is you handling it? This is me giving you another chance. Amelia took 2 steps toward me. No, Ethan, it's not like that. I didn't, but as she got closer, I shot up from my chair and backed away. Don't come near me. Amelia, I am so disappointed in you. You actually make me sick. With that, I threw the rest of my coffee in her face, pulled a few $100 bills from my wallet, slapped them on the table and walked out. Amelia wiped the coffee from her face, about to run after me, but Chloe held her back. Don't push him any further, Chloe warned. I'm worried about what he might do. A fresh wave of panic hit Amelia. She wanted to follow me, but she knew she couldn't. I'll go check on him, Chloe said. You need to sort out this mess. Watching Chloe run out after me, Amelia's heart twisted in agony. Kevin stood frozen, his expression grim. His friend, the person he thought was so innocent, was a homewrecker. And worse, he knew exactly what he was doing. Leo pushed himself up, and as soon as he was on his feet, his eyes met Amelia's cold stare. His stomach dropped. Amelia glared at him, her voice laced with venom. From now on, stay out of my sight, and more importantly, stay away from his. Then Amelia turned and stormed out. Instantly, all eyes in the coffee shop turned on Leo, filled with disdain. A few of the regulars, who had thought he was just a sweet, innocent kid, now looked at him with newfound, cynical respect. The kid was a pro. Amelia's words felt like a knife through his heart. He clutched his chest, waiting for someone, anyone, to offer a word of comfort, but there was only silence. He looked over at Kevin, but his friend had already returned to the counter and was taking another customer's order as if nothing had happened. Chloe caught up with me, pulled me aside, and hailed a cab. A few minutes later, we were back at her apartment. I stopped just inside the doorway. Chloe, who had been leading me by the hand, stopped too and turned to me, her voice soft. What is it? I lunged forward, wrapping my arms around her and holding on tight. Chloe was startled for a second before her own arms came up to hold me back. My voice was muffled against her shoulder. Chloe, are you the only one I have left? Her heart ached for me. She held me closer. Don't be sad, she whispered. You still have me. I ended up staying the night at Chloe's again, leaving breakfast for her before I left in the morning. When I got back to my place and found a spare key to her apartment in my bag, I smiled. The first fish was on the hook. I moved the book I'd borrowed from my nightstand, picked up my phone, and sent a message to Bianca Sterling. Miss Sterling, I've finished the book. When might you be free? I'd love to take you to dinner and return it to you. Bianca was listening to her assistant's daily report when the message came through. At the sound of the phone buzzing, the assistant froze, shot a nervous glance at her boss, then discreetly checked her own phone, only to find it silent. Puzzled, the assistant watched as her boss picked up her own phone and opened iMessage. Bianca read the message, a small smile playing on her lips. The first thing that popped into her head was a single word: abs. The assistant stood by silently, waiting for her boss to reply, utterly astonished. In her 5 years as Bianca's assistant, she had never once seen her use iMessage. Her boss was barely 30 but lived like a woman twice her age. Watching her now, engrossed in her phone, the assistant couldn't help but wonder who she was texting. While I flirted with Bianca over iMessage, I began planning my solo exhibition. Thanks to my reputation from Europe, sponsors were lining up the moment word got out. I already had most of the pieces I needed. I just had to create a few more to round out the collection. You want to paint a starry sky? Bianca and I had been texting when I mentioned my exhibition and my plan to paint a night sky. She immediately called me. I was surprised to get her call. The problem is, you can't see any real stars in the city, I said. It's hard to feel inspired. I could almost hear the smirk in her voice. I know a place, she said, her tone laced with suggestion, where the stars are magnificent. My voice immediately brightened. Really? A smile touched her lips. Interested? Bianca laughed softly, glancing at her calendar. I'm free this afternoon. Sensing an opportunity, I let a hint of flirtation enter my own voice. How about this? I treat you to dinner, and you show me the stars? She wasn't letting me off that easy. You still owe me dinner from the last time. I grinned. Then I'll just have to owe you too. When I went to meet Bianca, I deliberately chose a thin, almost sheer linen shirt that subtly highlighted the muscles of my torso. When I arrived at Sterling Industries, a woman in glasses was waiting for me in the lobby. Mr. Wright? She asked as I approached. I'm Ms. Sterling's assistant. She sent me down to meet you. The assistant maintained a warm, professional smile, but inwardly she was screaming. No wonder the boss, who usually acts like a Luddite, has been glued to her phone. This man is a walking god. Thank you. I said with a polite smile, following her to the elevators. I caught the receptionist's gossiping stare out of the corner of my eye just before the doors closed. Bianca was focused on a stack of documents. Since she was leaving early with me, she had front-loaded her work for the day. The sound of crisp, confident footsteps told her it wasn't her assistant entering the office. She looked up, and there I was. Even before her eyes had fully focused on me, she felt a familiar catch in her throat. I walked right up to her desk and hopped up to sit on the edge. "Can't you play hooky today?" Bianca's eyes were drawn to my legs, now just inches from her. She rubbed her thumb and forefinger together, suppressing a wave of heat. "Can't wait," I smiled. "My art supplies are being delivered in half an hour. I wonder if the great CEO of Sterling Industries can clear her desk by then." I playfully poked the stack of files in front of her. Bianca let out a low chuckle. "Of course, we'll be out of here in 30 minutes, on the dot." I raised an eyebrow. "And dinner?" Bianca's gaze drifted back to my legs, dangling casually in front of her. She swallowed, fighting the urge to say she wasn't hungry for food. "There's a restaurant near the place we're going," she said instead. "It's quite good." I nodded, satisfied, and hopped off the desk. I sauntered over to the couch, deliberately positioning myself so I was facing away from her but still in her line of sight. I crossed my long legs and reclined, pulling out my phone. Bianca's eyes roamed over my reclined form. It wasn't until I let out a soft laugh at something on my phone that she snapped out of her trance and forced her attention back to the files on her desk. After the assistant left Bianca's office, her phone immediately blew up with messages from curious coworkers. She just smiled. What was the point in asking her? It wasn't like she knew if he was going to be the boss's future husband or not. Exactly 30 minutes later, the assistant knocked and entered, carrying a large art supply case. "Mr. Wright, your delivery." The assistant beamed back at my smile, but before she could say anything, her boss's sharp voice cut in. "You can go now." "Of course," the assistant said, quickly exiting. I gave the departing assistant a friendly wave, then carried the art case over to Bianca's desk. I set it down, hopped back onto the desk, and gave her chair a playful nudge with my foot. "Well, Miss Sterling, isn't it time to clock out?" Bianca looked from my dangling leg to the final document in her hand, and made a decision. She stood, walked around her desk, and moved in close, invading my personal space. I leaned back slightly, my eyes locked on hers, unflinching. We were so close I could feel the warmth of her breath on my skin. She tilted her head, her lips hovering just millimeters from mine, and then she stopped. "All right," she whispered, "let's call it a day." Then she straightened up, effortlessly picking up the art case from her desk with one hand. She loosened her tie, acting as if her only intention had been to help me with my supplies. "Shall we?" she said smoothly. A wide, bright smile spread across my face, my eyes dancing as if I'd been eagerly waiting for her all along. I hopped off the desk and fell into step beside her as she led the way out. The assistant looked up in surprise as we emerged from the office. Bianca gave her a few curt instructions for the rest of the day, then guided me towards the private elevator. The assistant watched her boss walk a few paces, then glanced back to make sure I was following. A tiny, almost imperceptible smile touched Bianca's lips, and the assistant had a minor existential crisis. It was the first time she had ever seen her boss leave work early. I settled into the passenger seat of Bianca's car, letting her lean over and buckle my seatbelt for me. As she drove, I looked around the pristine interior, then pulled a small, handcrafted good luck charm from my bag and hung it from her rearview mirror. Bianca watched me make myself at home, treating her car as if it were my own. Instead of being annoyed, she just smiled and started the engine. We were headed to a resort, one that was still under construction. As we neared the entrance, Bianca glanced over at me, sitting quietly